tell you what causes me to empathize with people who are trapped in Hebrew Israelism. It's what I see. Let me explain. When I first ran across their videos, it was clear that they were upset. The videos I was watching, it was clear that they were angry. But as I learned more, it was clear that they'd also been hurt. They'd been hurt by their families a lot of times, by the system, by society, by institutions that they were supposed to be able to trust. They had been hurt a lot of times by people that were supposed to have protected them, hurt by the church, and a lot of times they had been hurt by bad doctrine. Now, at this point, I've had lots of face-to-face encounters with a variety of Hebrew Israelites. Public, private, sit down, everything. And more, I don't just see the anger or the hurt only, I see pain. There's a lot of pain behind the eyes of a lot of Hebrew Israelites. And they think they found the answer in Hebrew Israelism. I mean, even in times when I'm out there, say in an intense street encounter, and they're looking at me, and some of these guys look at me, I'm just saying some, like they want to put a hurt on me, right? Even then, a lot of times, you can sense, if you have discernment, there's a lot of pain behind those eyes. Some sad experiences I've had. Really, a lot of these sad experiences more come from dealing with ex-members of the Hebrew Israelism movement, and some even with people who are attached in some way, usually through family ties, to a current adherent. The reason why I say the stories come more from those groups of people is because a lot of the current adherents of Hebrew Israelism, they're relatively closed off to anyone they perceive to be an outsider. So you simply just don't know as much. Sometimes you can read between the lines, but you don't know as much. But when people come out, when men and women leave Hebrew Israelism, they want to tell their story a lot of times. A lot of times they don't. There's fear there, don't get me wrong. But they usually become more open and vulnerable, and then you hear the stories, and it's tough. It's tough to hear some of these stories. Specifically, honestly, many of the women have been mistreated. I don't just strictly mean domestic abuse. That's not what I'm saying. However, honestly, sometimes that does pop up as a serious issue from time to time. Other things come to light. I mean, more in general, though, I'm talking about just spouses seeing their loved one transform radically before their eyes, devolve in a sense of not progressing. Let me explain what I mean. This is really from their own words. I've heard people describe their spouses do this. They go from happy, joyful, kind, fun-loving, that kind of person, to joyless, rigid, judgmental, controlling, easily angered and offended, domineering, harsh, and bigoted. That's the kind of person they see them become a lot of times. That's what they express to me. And they'll say things like, I don't recognize them anymore. I don't know who they are. They look more like their camp leader than my husband or my wife or my daughter or my son or even my mom and dad. This is sad. And there's also equally troubling stories about parents or family members basically trying to brainwash children into despising children or people in general of other ethnicities. It's sad. And what makes all this so tragic is that many folks, they leave this thing and they just become absolutely distrustful of any religious claim, of a spiritual leader, of anything that's a holy book now, or any message of faith. This is how they would view it. And they never want to get plugged back into some kind of institution, community like that. That means they don't want to get plugged into a healthy church, really. It's like they're done. Some of these folks become extremely closed off to the gospel. Some even become atheists. So seeing these folks' response to getting burnt, it's just heart-wrenching. It's heart-wrenching. Because the gospel is the only source of hope. The gospel is the only source of healing. The gospel is the only source of redemption. And it's like Satan's had his way where he does something in their life that sears them, and then they're cut off from even hearing the gospel because they view it as just another nasty message from this repressive book. Now, that none of that's true, but that a lot of times can become the perception. And we praise God, though, for folks who have left and they were not closed off to the gospel and have become believers and followers and disciples of Jesus Christ since then. So not all the stories of ex-members are just sad.